I've got to be quick because we're already halfway through a nap time. Anyway, welcome back to my channel, guys. Hope you're all doing really well. I'm filming this during nap time, like I said, and George has been asleep for a good half an hour already, so I don't know how much longer I'm gonna have, but let's crack on. This is my Q&A where I'm going to be answering all your questions about toddlers. So toddlerhood Q&A, all the questions you have about having a toddler basically. I definitely for one did not feel prepared for that transition between having a baby and having a toddler. I feel like with toddlers, where emotions are involved, it's just a whole different ball game, and yeah, it's just a very different stage in like the parenthood journey anyway. So I kind of like these kind of Q&As. I've watched many Q&A like this, just to know what other people are doing. I find it really interesting. So I asked you guys to ask me whatever your questions were on Instagram, and I would answer them in this video. And what I've done is kind of like the most frequently asked questions. Hopefully this can be like a little guide to like any questions you might have, like the standard questions. This video should include it. So fingers crossed. That should be the one. So yeah, we're gonna just crack on, get started. I've got my water, although I've drank a lot of that. I might top that up in a minute. I'm gonna start off with, what is your current schedule like? So this differs 100% between weekdays when he's at nursery and then the weekends or when he's off of nursery and I'm off of work for whatever reason. So for example, the past week we've been off of nursery and work because it's been like the bank holidays. They shut the nursery and stuff for a couple of days, but it wasn't bank holidays, just so that they could have like a week off, which totally makes sense. Like, I'm here for it. And I was able to book time with work and stuff. So we've had the whole week off and we've had like a completely different routine to the one that we would normally have during the week. So it is very different. So I'm just going to start off with what we would do if we were at home together for the entire day. So first off, George is about 21 months almost. So that's like, this is the age that I'm talking about right now. But recently he started getting up a lot earlier than he used to. It's been in the 5s, it's been in the 6s. There's sort of been, it's just shifted a little bit earlier and I don't really know why. However, it might be because we have transitioned to a toddler bed recently and it has coincided exactly with that. So we'll get into the toddler bed transition stuff later. There's a question about that later on. But in terms of the schedule, recently he's been getting up at about, let's just say 6 as an average. And then what we'll do is we'll go downstairs, we will pop some games out or pop the telly on if it's like a super early start. And then I'll just get some breakfast down him. So for example, his favourite like go-to breakfasts are definitely like quite easy ones. So like toast, crumpets, pre-made pancakes if I've batch cooked, or just like the like pre-made ones, like the ones that you just buy in the shop, those kind of things. And then all of the fruit, basically every fruit you could possibly think of. His favourites at the moment are definitely strawberries, grapes and bananas, but I like to give him bananas the most because I don't really have to cut that. Like, I could just break them up and give them to him, whereas with grapes and strawberries, obviously you've got to like cut them up into like tiny little sections and he gets a little bit frustrated whilst he's waiting for me, to be honest. So if we're at home and we're up that early, then I definitely want to get out of the house by like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So obviously I kind of wake up when he wakes up at the moment. I'm not trying to like get up beforehand because he just gets up so early. So we're both in our PJs when we come downstairs, and then over the course of like him having breakfast and like maybe the next hour or so, I'll try and sneak in a little wash where I bring him into the shower with me and like just have all of his toys out with me, or all that kind of stuff. Or if it's just like I need to sort my hair out, whatever, I'll just give him some stuff whilst I'm doing those things to keep him occupied. And then we can just like get out of the house by like 8:30ish, and whether that's something really simple like taking the dog out for a walk or just going to the park or going just like to the supermarket and stuff. Like sometimes, especially if it's a weekday and it's quiet, or if it's early on a Saturday or Sunday, it's actually fine to go to the supermarket like us two. It's actually not too bad. Just give him a little snack and a few toys in the trolley and he's happy as Larry. So yeah, I tend to try and do that because it's like getting out of the house, doing something free, affordable, just like getting out and not making too much of a fuss about it is definitely something that I try and do with George when I'm on my own at home with him, especially where he's getting up early, because it's just, I don't know, just being in the house all day, I feel like I just run out of ideas. He gets annoyed and just like not happy. So yeah, I'd way rather get out of the house with him and have like 1 or 2 meltdowns than stay in the house and have about 10 meltdowns. Again, if he has got up early and we have like a lot of time to kill before like lunchtime kind of thing, we'll definitely do something. Recently we've been going swimming quite a lot, we've gone to soft play, we've got this place called Tot City where we live, and it's like a role play kind of thing. So they have loads of like, they have a little supermarket, they've got like a little race track, they've got loads of different things, and George is obsessed with it. He absolutely loves it there, and it's very, it like mimics nursery, I think, but it's so nice for us to see him playing in that environment. So yeah, I love those kind of things. I mean, I am a little bit nervous sometimes about taking him to these kind of places on my own, but I kind of feel like, especially if you go at the times, especially like soft play in Tot City, all the parents there are in the same boat, do you know what I mean? Everyone is there, everyone's there with a toddler, trying to entertain them, trying to knacker them out so they get their sleep that afternoon. So I try to just think that way about it, and I kind of just try and just brush off any of those weird like looks or comments you might get from a toddler kicking off. Like, at the end of the day, who cares? And then when it gets to like 11:30ish, I'll bring him home, have like an early lunch, so things like pita bread and hummus, or just like wraps, or just something really light and easy. Pretty much always there's some sort of fruit involved as well, crackers, like that kind of stuff, like kind of snacky bitty lunches, like nothing too intense. I kind of find that he's not like so hungry, he's quite tired, especially if he's got up early, so I kind of just give him like bits to pick at, but bits that I know that he's going to enjoy. So like I said, crackers, grapes, cream cheese on crackers, sandwiches like he really likes, ham and cheese sandwiches, lovely, like anything like quite easy I'll give him for lunch. And then say he's got up at 6, he'll definitely go down for his nap 12, like quarter to 12, 12 o'clock. So he's had like a 6-hour wake window, which kind of feels like too long, but it works in terms of if we'll keep him busy in the morning part of the day, have his lunch and then go down for a nap, and then he sleeps for quite a long time. He tends to be sleeping at the moment for about 2 hours if we're at home. If he's at nursery, it's a completely different story. Then he'll wake up at about 2ish. It's sometimes a little bit stressful, like he's just not, he doesn't wake up in the best of moods sometimes, although since he's been in his toddler bed, that has got better. Like he wakes up at his own pace, sort of gets out of bed, and then when he's ready, he opens the door. He's got a baby gate on his door at the moment, so he just sort of stands there and goes, you know, mama, dada, whatever. So that's kind of working, which is good. But then like you can't offer him to do something too intense straight away after a nap. He definitely needs time to wake up. He likes a cuddle, he likes to just chill out on the sofa for a little bit, and then when he's ready, like pass him a toy or like set out a little toy like station for him, and when he's ready he'll come over and start playing with it. Yeah, honestly, for the first half an hour after he's woken up after a nap, he's just like not in the best of moods, so I kind of just take it easy with him and see what he wants to do. And then once he's in a better mood, I'll definitely offer him a snack of some sort, whatever it might be, whether that's just again a pouch, just some like little crisps or something, or some fruit. Again, like he's just so obsessed with fruit. I actually worry about how much sugar he is consuming through the fruit he eats. It's just all he wants is fruit. I guess it's better than chocolate, but still. After his snack, we'll do some sort of afternoon like activity, but again, something really chilled, like nothing too intense. We'll just go for a walk in the forest. Like there's a forest at the back of our house, and we just kind of like walk through there. There's a couple of playing fields. We'll just go out into the garden, kick a ball around a little bit, or maybe play with like the giant chalk that we have, like draw on the patio and stuff, and obviously that'll get washed away when it rains. Just like nice little activities, but we'll never do the same one like always. We'll always like rotate them, so everything always seems a little bit more new and interesting for him. And then before you know it, it's time for me to start cooking dinner and stuff. Definitely, like when I say we're doing all these activities, there is definitely a bit of screen time in there as well, but I like to break it up with like little activities like that. And when it comes to cooking dinner, I definitely just like pop off and do that rather than have him in there with me, because he would just get so stressed and annoyed. So yeah, I would go off and do dinner, and we normally have dinner about 5:30ish, 6. If I know it's a messy dinner, I'll have it later, because if he's messy, I can just then pop him straight in the bath afterwards. Yeah, dinner tends to last like 20 minutes or so with George. Once he's done, he is done, and he gets up and goes away, and like there's no like restriction there. He can kind of just do that. Then when it gets to like 6:30, 6:45, we'll go up for a bath. We'll have bath time, absolutely no rush. It's like a nice relaxing time. He's got loads of bath toys that he likes playing with there, and he really enjoys that time as well. He actually hates it when I bring him out of the bath, because he's having so much fun. But then we'll get him out of the bath, dry him off and everything, PJs on, and then recently he's been climbing straight into his toddler bed and goes to sleep no problem. It's just so weird because he was not like that necessarily when he was in the cot, so I definitely think it was time for him to go into his toddler bed. Then he's just asleep by like 7:15, and it just seems to work for us. It's absolutely mad. Obviously it's a completely different kind of routine when we have nursery and work. It's a completely different day for us. I've got loads of videos on my channel of like how I manage that, because that's the kind of thing that I struggled with knowing how to do the most, is like how to balance having a toddler that has all of these needs and then me and my work and all that kind of stuff. And it was just like, especially doing it on your own, and it's difficult. He definitely doesn't sleep anywhere near as much at nursery than he does at home, and I think that's probably mainly down to the fact that he's having so much fun at nursery that he just wants to, like, as soon as he wakes up and sees like people again, he's like, right, no, I need to get out of bed and then like get playing again. So yeah, I mean, it's very different, but normally he's at nursery 8 in the morning till 5 p.m, or at least that's what we pay for, so he goes like a little bit, he goes between them times basically. So yeah, that's what he would do like on a school day, I guess. I've got loads of questions about the toddler bed transition, so I just kind of wanted to like run through like everything that we did. So the reason, if you guys don't know, you would have seen in my last vlog, if you did see it, that I decided to transition George from a cot to a bed, or a toddler bed, is because last week he like just randomly decided to learn how to climb out of his cot, and it was just like, okay, great. This was like midweek, he was still off with the chicken pox, and so we were at home. I've been at home with him all week on my own. He decided to climb out on of his bed. I at the time didn't know where Allen keys were kept in this house. I also had acrylic nails on that were longer than I had wanted, and literally trying to unscrew everything on that cot with like really long pointy nails and an Allen key that wouldn't turn around properly. It was just like, it was so difficult, but it got there in the end. And yeah, I transformed his normal cot into the toddler bed. That it's like, that was the way that it transitioned, like it went from a cot to a toddler bed, which is obviously really, really helpful. I then obviously made sure that the room was like toddler proof and everything was safe, nothing was going to fall down. Like all of his drawers and his shelves and everything are all attached to the walls and like can't come off at all. In terms of making sure that he wouldn't fall out of the bed, this is the thing that I was worried about the most, and I wasn't really sure how to like tackle it in the first like couple of days. And you know what, I still haven't actually ordered anything. What I've done is rolled up an old bedspread, and so it's like a barrier all around his cot, and it kind of had the same effect as like a foam barrier that you would be able to buy. That's actually what I was intending to buy, but so far he's only, the first few nights he like fell out of his bed a couple of times, but I had like teddies all on the floor and like soft stuff on the floor, but he hasn't since. So I'm not sure, I don't know whether to just leave it and like that barrier is enough for him, or whether to try and get something else, but I'm not really sure. I feel like it actually just works. There's loads of stuff that you can get. You can get like proper barriers, you can get the foam things that are like really highly recommended, or you can just like roll up a towel or a bedspread or something like that, and that, it seems to work for us. Obviously with George being in a bed now, he can get out whenever he wants. He can get up and down, however much he wants. So I knew that it was important to have a stair gate on his bedroom, and we already have a stair gate on our stairs, but we've also got the toilet, the bathroom and the spare bedroom, and obviously our bedroom that he can get into. And I really did worry with the bathroom and the toilet. He can undo all of the doors and everything just because he's like at that height now where he can open doors. And I just worried, like, what if in the middle of the night he got up and decided to go and play with the hot tap? I don't think the hot tap goes hot enough to burn him, but like, I just couldn't get that out of my mind. Like, what if he just like climbed into the bath, put the hot tap on, and then like slipped and like hit his head, and like for some reason I was in a really deep sleep and didn't hear him? I think that'd be really unlikely, because as soon as he even twitches, I wake up. But still, that literally terrified me, and I knew that his room was toddler proof, so I just wanted a gate on it. I now sleep with my door open, and then when he in the morning comes to open his door, I can hear him, really easy peasy, and like I know that it's time to get up for the day. So that's what we did. We also put a stair gate on there. In terms of like what he's sleeping in, He was sleeping in sleeping bags with legs, and he could still sleep in those if he wanted to because he can walk around in them, so it's not too much of a big deal. Like if he was in a sleeping sack, it might be like he wouldn't be able to walk around in it, so it might be dangerous, but he's got the legs in his ones, so that would be fine. But at the moment he's actually not sleeping in anything because it gets quite warm in his room, and he had a bit of a temperature when he had his chicken pox and stuff, so we just kind of stopped giving him his like sleeping bags with the legs, and now he has got like a little blanket and stuff, so if he does get cold, like he can put that on. But like I said, it's always so warm in there that yeah, he just doesn't really seem to need it. I think after the summer, so probably around the time he turns 2 in September, I think we'll probably give him his toddler pillow and his duvet then, maybe. I don't know whether we should do it sooner, but I just feel like it's silly to do it in the summer when it's hotter. And we definitely will wait until we move into a new house, which we're not actually sure when that's happening, but it will be probably before his birthday. Yeah, so that's, I think, when we're thinking about doing like the whole bedding thing. The next load of questions are kind of about nursery generally, like going to childcare. So things like, how much does nursery cost? Does he enjoy it? Do you like putting him in the amount that you put him in, or would you rather that be less or more, or what? What do you think the difference is between having a childminder and going to nursery? So basically all of those kind of questions. And firstly, I'd definitely like to say that George loves nursery. Like he is, I don't know how, because he is a lockdown baby, but he is the most sociable kid ever. Like he absolutely loves either showing off in front of other kids or like being involved in their games and stuff like that. Like you just see it every single time we're around other children. He absolutely loves it. It's when he's in his element, and I'm so pleased about that. Like he's not shy in the slightest. It's just really, really lovely to see. So he actually is one of those kids that just loves nursery so much. I would say like after a weekend or like a week off like this week, he does tend to be a little bit more shy and like nervous when he's going in first off. So like say for example, like I work Tuesdays to Fridays. When we go into nursery on the Tuesday, he has a little cry. He's a little bit clingy with me. So yeah, there's a little bit of that. Don't get me wrong, but he generally, I always, whenever that happens on a Tuesday, like it's my thing, I always call nursery like maybe 20 minutes after I've dropped him off on a Tuesday and just say, I know he's probably fine, but can you just like, is he all right, blah, blah. And they're always checking on him, and they always tell me exactly what he's doing. Like, oh, you know, he's got the cars, he's done this. Oh no, don't worry, he's in there, he's playing with the taps. Like he's doing all these other things already. Like it's completely fine. But it's just like to put my mind at ease, I guess, that he's okay. In terms of like how often he goes, I think I've said already, he starts at 8 o'clock in the morning and then finishes at 5 p.m. It's a pretty long day for a little one. I know that like lots of people do that, and like I was a kid, I went to childcare from literally like 4 or 5 months old because my mum was a single mum, and I went between 7 in the morning and 7 p.m. because she worked in London, had to commute and stuff like that. Like things happen, and you know, you have to make sacrifices somewhere, but I would prefer if George didn't have to go in for that long. Like I just would, because you know, I think my priority is just to spend time with him, and I feel like sometimes that's slightly imbalanced with like what I want versus what is happening. We all have to make compromises based on what you want and what reality is. Like we have to figure out some sort of balance, but at some point I think it's realistic to say that he wouldn't be in for that amount of time, for that length in a day. Maybe still 4 days a week, but like shorter days. So yeah, we'll see, but at the moment there's absolutely no change happening. It just has to be like that for a little while until we figure out how we can do it another way, I guess. In terms of how much nursery costs, it will depend literally on so many factors: where you are in the country, where you are in the world, how often you want them to go, how much food they have at nursery, whether those things are included or not. It's a big like melting pot of reasons that you would have like different fees and stuff. But for us, we both work, so we are entitled to the tax-free childcare like system. Obviously if you're on like universal credit, you'll be eligible for certain things. Like there are loads of different schemes out there. I actually have a video all about childcare costs when I was figuring out childcare costs when George was like 5 months old, that I really go into depth about like all of the different schemes that you might be eligible for. Like I calculate exactly what my costs were back then, which were much cheaper than they are now, because we were in a completely different part of the country and we were going for a different option. We went for child minders then, whereas this time we went for a nursery. So our breakdown is, it is £66.50 or £66.60, something like that, a day for George to go into childcare. That's all of his food, everything, like consumables, everything, £66.60 or 50, one of them. And then so he goes 4 days a week and he does that like for the whole month. So he goes 4 days a week. And now per month, on a month where there's lots of Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and whatever. So say like some months are longer, some months are shorter, etc. On a bad month, it's £1,200 for childcare. And on a better month, it's like, for example, this month in May, it's a lot cheaper because we've had this week off where we've had bank holidays and stuff like that. So it was actually only £1,000. However, with the tax-free childcare, how it works is the government will give you, so say for example, you put in £1,000 for your childcare. The government will top that up by £200, and that will make up your entirety of your bill. So generally that's what we do. However, there is a catch. Every 3 months you're eligible to a maximum of £500. So obviously those of you that are quick at maths will realise that if you put in £1,000, government gives you 200. You put in another £1,000, government gives you 200. On the third month, if you put in £1,000, they're not going to give you £200, they're going to give you £100 because that's the total of £500. So that's what we do anyway. We put in our money to our childcare account, £1,000 every single month, and then at the end of the 3-month period, we tend to have a little bit left over from where we've overpaid previously for that to cover that third month. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I've maybe made that sound a bit more convoluted than it is, although it is quite convoluted because they don't like to make these things easy. But in a nutshell, if you are eligible for tax-free childcare, in an entire year, you are eligible for a maximum of £2,000. But that's only if you contribute in the way that I've just explained. So I fell short last year where I thought that we could still, like, say if our childcare bill was only £500 one month, if we only paid in £500, we're only going to get 20% topped up. So, and then once that's gone, that's gone. It's like mobile data. Like once your mobile data's gone, it's gone. Like you can't just, like, if you haven't used it, it like disappears basically. So anyway, let's move on from childcare costs. I feel like I talk about it an awful lot, but I do find it absolutely insane how much it costs, and I'm so incredibly lucky that I've got a partner that contributes half and half with me, because I just don't understand how single parents are expected to do it. I really don't, and it's just mad. It really is. But yeah, that's where we are. It's our biggest expense, which I don't love it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't love how much we have to pay to have someone else look after our child when all I want to do is look after him and be with him. I'm not loving how society's working at the moment, but we'll figure something out at some point, and yeah, we'll find a good balance, but we're just not quite there yet, I think. Next questions I got were all about food. So what do you cook? How do you prep? How do you find the time? How do you cook healthy meals? How do you get them to eat veggies? Like all of the good stuff, all of the juicy things about food. And let me tell you, it's an absolute minefield, isn't it? Getting toddlers to eat the food that you've cooked, it's just, why does it seem like the most difficult thing in the world? It just does. But I think I've come to the conclusion now where, one, it's not the end of the world if they don't eat. It really isn't. Like if they don't eat one meal and then they scoff their faces at the next one, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. They don't have to eat every single last scrap of every single meal. Everyone's hungry at different times and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like I used to stress maybe a bit too much about how much George was eating, and now I don't so much. So that's like one thing. Secondly, I think in terms of like how do you get them to eat, I feel like the best way is just to model a behaviour. So if you want them to eat a certain thing, or if you want them to sit nicely at the table and eat, I feel like modelling the behaviour that you want them to do at the time that they're doing it is probably the best way. Look, I know that's not always possible, because I certainly don't do it every single time, because it's difficult, or because I've got other things going on, because I'm trying to cook, wash up, obviously be with George, spend time with him, and I'm trying to like feed the dog and like do all these other things. Like I get it, but I do definitely see a difference when I sit down with George. We eat the same food. That's another thing actually. I love cooking the same food that I give to George for myself. So like having exactly the same meal, so he sees me eating what he's eating, he realises that mummy likes it, so it must be nice, and then we sit there together, and you know, it doesn't work 100% of the time, obviously. Like if my food's got loads of broccoli on it and he can taste the broccoli, look, he's not going to eat it. I know that. I know that, but I'm still going to put it there. I'm still going to offer it to him, and I think that's just like part of it, isn't it? At some point he'll eat broccoli. So yeah, definitely when it comes to dinners and breakfasts, I'd say that we go for the same things. Lunches, not so much, because I tend to go for something a little bit more like on the healthier side really, and like realistically I'm not getting avocado, spinach and that kind of stuff down George, like it just won't happen, and I do want him to eat something before he goes down for a nap. So I think lunches is probably where we just go like more toddler vibes, and we go for all the things I mentioned beforehand. But I definitely do see the benefit of having the same food at dinner time and eating at the right time together. Like it's harder, like it's a harder thing to like manage, but eventually, like in the long run, I feel like it benefits us. So yeah, that's where we are with that. Obviously, if you guys are a regular viewer of my channel or like know me and George at all, you'll know that HelloFresh is like the biggest part of my life when it comes to food. Like it's just so much easier. I find that there's no prep really, there's no like thinking about anything. Everything just gets literally delivered to your door in a brown bag. You get the brown bag out, there are your ingredients, you cook the thing and then you eat it. It's just so easy in terms of, instead of like having to think about all of the ingredients you have to buy, running out of things, not having enough, like having too many left, like all of these things. For us actually, I just get like the 2-person meal box, and then I will have the same thing as George because they're delicious meals. Anything that's like not spicy or like George can eat, I'll probably go for those versions. Like the pasta dishes are absolute favourites of ours. Anything kind of chili thing, quesadilla thing, burgers, that kind of thing, like I'm just here for it. He'll eat it, and then there'll probably be a little bit left over for us or for me following lunchtime if I want to take that into like work or something. So yeah, that tends to be like what I do for dinners. Like it just makes sense for us. So yeah, that's kind of what I do for meal times, I think. And then the last load of questions were about the good old toddler tantrums. How do you deal with them? What do you do? What's your process? And how do you cope with them out in public? So all of those questions, I feel like I don't really have the answer to. I absolutely wing it completely when faced with any of those issues, because it's difficult. I've never done this before. I'm completely learning on the spot here, and I can watch as many YouTube videos as I want to learn how to be a good toddler mum, but the reality is like it's very hard. I do struggle with it. Like it is just a difficult phase. I wouldn't change any of it. Like the fact that I even have the privilege to raise a person, it just blows my mind. So I just want to do a good job, and that's where my like anxieties and stuff stem from. Is like I just want to do a good job. So realistically, like, when George has a tantrum, it's because he's not getting what he wants, or he thinks that I don't understand what it is that he wants, and he's not getting the thing that he wants quick enough. Those are the realities of like why he has tantrums, right? So for example, he wants to have a sip of my coffee, and coffee's not for babies, so I don't give him some. Meltdown immediately. But I know that George is going to have a meltdown about that now. So instead of coming into the room with a coffee and nothing for him, what I do is preempt that behaviour with a, you know, we've got like these plastic mugs. So I'll buy like a plastic mug like that, and I'll have something in there like hot milk, like warm milk or something like that, or sometimes even like hot chocolate, like if it's a treat or something, and he gets the drink from the same kind of cup as I am drinking from, and he feels like he's a part of that, and he just wants to like copy me and like be like me and stuff like that. So having something for him as well in that situation will hopefully prevent that meltdown. And don't get me wrong, there are times where it doesn't, but I feel like prevention is definitely a better tool than like trying to work backwards from something. So that's just one example, but like again, you know your kid and you know when a meltdown might happen and why a meltdown might happen, and just like preventing those things by like putting little stages in place, I feel like it's just the easiest way of like preventing things. But if you do get to a point where you're out in public and there's meltdowns happening, I feel like for me it's just all about getting down to his level, staying really calm, because that's what I want him to be. I want him to be acting calm. Most of the time he's not listening, but I have a feeling, fingers crossed, and I don't know if this is really wishful hoping, if I'm consistent with that, if I'm consistent with being calm with him and lowering, like the tone of my voice is very mellow, and I understand how you're feeling. I do know that you want the toy off the shelf. I know that you want this, but we can't have that right now. Or I know that you want the strawberries that are in the shopping basket, but you can't have them right now. You can have them at home. Here's your toy. Or something like that. Whether that toy then gets thrown, it might get thrown. But if I'm consistent like that and I model the behaviour that I hopefully want him to maybe do one day, but I'm wishful thinking, hoping that that might work. We will see. I'm sure that there are many ways and many methods that you can like deal with those things. Don't get me wrong, whilst this is all happening, my face is bright red and I'm sweating, but I'm trying my best, and I feel like there are, like I said, loads of ways that you can deal with these kind of things, and however you deal with it isn't wrong. It's just everyone is trying to do their best in their own little way. So I would love to know how you would deal with things, and if there are any tips that you might have. Don't get me wrong, I am not perfect. There are many times where I've risen my voice and I've snapped a little bit, maybe not at George, but like something has fallen from the shelf and like a glass is smashed. Right, okay, day ruined. Oh, you know, and it's not about the fact that the glass is smashed, it's about the fact that blah 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 and blah has happened and then the glass is smashed. We all have that in us, but I feel like for me it's all just about taking a breath every now and then and going, right, okay, that one thing is not the end of the world. All of these little things are not the end of the world. Put them together, yeah, we've stressed ourselves out a little bit, but breathe, it's fine, we can manage this, let's go, crack on. I feel like it's all just about picking yourself up and just cracking on, because otherwise you'll just, yeah, if you don't laugh you'll cry, right? But anyway, yeah, I think I've probably rambled loads about all of those things, and I hope that that's kind of like a big picture version of like all of the little questions you might have had. But if I have missed anything big about like toddlerhood and anything that you might want me to answer, then pop it down in the comment section down below and I will answer it in the comments over the next couple of days. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby.